afternoon for my beloved friends and honorable lecturer, Mr. Joko, and I am as the presenter today. I would like to explain about the cognition, chapter 5, and the material is taken from Borges Ortega's books 2008, and the subject is understanding second language acquisition. So, what is cognition? The cognition refers to how information is processed and learned by the human mind, and the term comes from Latin verb cognoscere, to get to know. What is the form of cognition? We are far from a satisfactory understanding of second language. And the cognition happens because our capacities to investigate the relevant questions are shaped by the pace at which new theories and methods to inspect the workings of human minds and brains became available, and the rate at which SLA researchers become conversant in them. What is cognitive research? The relevant behavioral and neurobiological evidence falls in the order of a few hundred milliseconds to a few seconds. It consists of larger scope performance that nevertheless lasts a few minutes to a few hours at the most. Information processing in psychology and SLA. The human mind is viewed as a symbolic processor that constantly engages in mental processes. These mental processes operate on mental representation and intervene between input, whatever that data get into the symbolic processor, the mind, and output, whatever the result of performance are. Performance, rather than behavior, is a key word in information processing theories. This is because inferences about mental processes can only be made by inspecting what is observable during processing while performing tasks, rather than by inspecting external behavior in response to stimuli, as behaviorists used to do. Information processing theories distinguish between representation or knowledge and access or processing. The power of practice, proceduralization, and automaticity. Skill acquisition theory defines learning as the gradual transformation of performance from control to automatic. Proceduralization or automatization and entails the conversion of declarative or explicit knowledge or knowledge that into procedural or implicit knowledge or knowledge how. An exemplary study of skill acquisition theory in SLA, according to the De Keyser 1997, Robert De Keyser 1997 investigated many of the actions of information processing and cognitive skill theory in a clever and complicated study. The cashier recruited 91 I'm sorry 61 college student volunteers and taught them a miniature language that he called autopracton. Long-term memory. A representation, it is virtually unlimited in its capacity and it is made of two kinds, explicit declarative memory and implicit procedural memory. Much of the knowledge encoded in long-term memory is explicit declarative, that is verbalizable and consciously recalled. Vocabulary knowledge, strength, the relative ability to use a given noun word productively or to recognize it passively. Depth, resides resides in the realm of both explicit and implicit memory and refers to how well the noun words are really known, that is, how elaborated, well specified and structured, or how analyzed in Bialstock's 2001 sense the lexical representation are. And vocabulary knowledge pertain to the content of the lexical representations encoded in memory for bilinguals. Memory as storage, passive working memory task. Storage size as short-term memory, a near synonym choice with working memory. Enormous amounts of memory research have been devoted to the question of storage capacity in the first language, leading to the establishment of appropriate experimental tasks and interesting, if generic, benchmarks. Memory as dynamic processing, active working memory tasks. Active measure of working memory capacity in the first language called the reading span task. Harrington and Sawyer, the 1992, argued that the predictive validity of active working memory measures was higher than that of passive measures, at least in their study. Attention and second language learning. We have to attend some situation when we are learn second language. The first is limited, and then second is selective, and the third is voluntary, and the fourth is access to consciousness, and the fifth is incidental, and the sixth is implicit, and the eighth is explicit. Is second language learning possible without intention? Yes. Incidental learning or learning without intention is possible in second language learning. The best known example is the incidental learning of second language vocabulary while reading for pleasure. However, people learn faster, more and better when they learn deliberately or with intention. Is second language learning possible without attention? Examination of this question has taken the form of a debate over whether detection, registration outside focal attention is sufficient for second language learning or whether noticing, detection plus activation into the focus on attention is also required. The jury is still out, but rather than investigating the qualities of attention that are necessary for learning, most studies have examined the issue of awareness. Is second language learning possible without awareness? This question cannot be directly answered because zero awareness may be methodologically impossible to establish. However, awareness, as measured through reports of noticing and understanding during think aloud protocols, has been shown to be related to higher post-test scores, suggesting that noticing with awareness is facilitative of second language learning. Is second language learning possible without rules? In the absence of rules, low level associative learning is certainly possible. This kind of learning draws on data driven processes supported by memory. With rules, learning proceed by drawing on controlled operations and conceptually driven processes supported by conscious attention. Both types of processing of new second language material can lead to learning, and both can interact. A pending question for future research is whether all aspects of a second language are equally learnable by implicit means, or whether some particularly complex aspects of the second language may require conceptually driven processing in order for association and representations to be formed. Okay, thank you. That's all my presentation. I hope that the cognition also become our motivation in learning second language for the English language. So we will continue to the question and answer section. If you have a question or comments, be pleased. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye bye.